Hello, 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 hello. Wherever you are on our grieving planet, I'm not going to tell you why, but if you see the date that I posted it on of this video, you have an idea why I call it a grieving planet. I hope you are having a peaceful day wherever you are located this day, evening, or night. As you can see, by the title, God's Sense of Humor. Therefore, my dear listener, you know this has to be a spiritual channel. Well, really, or religious, or it's about religion. And in this case, about Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Because they are the religions based on the laws of Moses. But if you're a Hindu, if you're a Buddhist, I welcome you to stay as well, because you believe in God too. And this may help you to learn about God. As I said earlier, the title, God's Sense of Humor. Now on this channel, if you believe the spirit in me, whether it's my spirit or God's spirit, talks about things that the religious leader, whether the religious leader is in a synagogue, a mosque, a father, a priest, a bishop, or apostle, whatever they want to, whatever title they want to give themselves, how many of them do you ever hear them talk about the nature of God? I never hear them talk about that. I hear them keep telling you love, 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 and hang on, because your blessing is coming. I hear them talk about that. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Turn the other cheek. Don't get revenge. Help your neighbor. That's well and good. But if we're serving a God, shouldn't we know something about his personality? Now, before I jump into my topic, remember this, because I read the Bible since the age of 13, and you can see now I'm a full-fledged adult by the way I'm talking. Many decades has passed since I started reading the Bible. And for me, ladies and gentlemen, I actually read the Bible. I just don't go to church and think that's it. Since the age of 13, I read the Bible from the book of Genesis all the way to the book of Revelation. And I read it many times in a circular cycle. And I always learn something new. That's why the Bible is called a living God, or a living book. And for me, since I've been with God so long, I see God's sense of humor. When I read the Bible, I laugh a lot. I smile and laugh. Some people told me, who are Christian, that when they read the Bible, they get sleepy. Some people say, when they read the Bible, they get sleepy. And I know the Bible don't always talk about Jehoshaphat begot Nimrod. Nimrod begot Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim begot Abimelech. Abimelech begot Josiah. It don't be doing that all the time. That just happened. I say a total probably 5 chapters probably talking about lineage. The rest of the Bible tells about the human experience. So I said my title is God's Sense of Humor. How many pastors, how many religions that we have to talk about saying God have a sense of humor? They may say it out their mouth in a gentle conversation. They may say, yeah, God got a sense of humor, but they never give you those biblical verses. So I'm going to try to give you biblical verses. Now here's my little picture of the Flintstones, a classic cartoon I believe in the 60s, 70s. I grew up in it because I grew up in the 70s. In the 80s, I watched in the 80s. But in the 90s, it started to disappear, maybe because Fred was too violent and he kept abusing Bonnie too much. But here's the title. Life is so much easier with a sense of humor. My ways are not your ways, and my thoughts not your thoughts. God is a higher life form. Does he? And if it's a higher life form, and when here's the image, does he have a sense of humor? Let us see what the Bible says. This is coming from Genesis chapter 11, verse 1 to 7. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. So There was no Japanese. There was no Chinese. There was no Honduran. There was no Guatemalan. There was no American. There was no Canadian. It said everybody spoke one language and one speech. And all them different regions, they had their own particular type of speech. But at the time that this was recorded, it was just one. And I wondered that everybody had the same skin tone too. But I'm not going to get into that. Or close to the same skin tone. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. So they all moved to Shinar. They said to each other, "Come, quote, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." So they had that knowledge, they had foresight and awareness. They used bricks instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, quote, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches into the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we'll be scattered over the face of the earth." So even back then, I guess there was little squabbles. Mother against son, son against father, niece against cousin, etc. So they said, let us join together so we can stop all this bickering and squabbling. Put our heads together on one accord. Let's build a city and let's make a tower that stretches to the heavens. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower that people were building. So God, He liked to intervene and see what His creatures are doing. He's not a distant God. He's not, because some people think God made the creation and just backed away. No, He actually come in and watch His creatures. In this case, He was watching the humans because, well, He watched the animals too. But right now, we're just talking about humans. So I won't deviate. The Lord said, quote, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible." That's big talk. That's big talk. Because did you ever think of this, people? Now, I watch a lot of sci-fi movies. I love my Star Trek. Then after Star Trek, I like Star Wars. But hey, I think the predominant winner is Star Trek now. Because, most of those Star Wars movies, they haven't lived up to the hype. But if we thought, if we all had the same language, the same beliefs, the same aspirations, where would our technology, where would our medicine be? Would it be to the level of a Star Trek universe? Would it be to the level of a Star Wars if our language, our books, our thoughts were unified? Now here's verse 7. God said, "Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other." Now, who was God talking? He said, "Let us." But I ain't going to get into that. So there's God's sense of humor, good people. He said, "Hey, look, let's slow these people down some. We don't want them to get too technologically advanced. They maybe start going exploring the universe. No. They may start going exploring the galaxy, the solar system. God said, I got to slow them down. So let me confuse their language. That way, they'll be fighting each other. Japanese will be fighting the Chinese. The Chinese will be fighting the Ethiopian. The Ethiopian be fighting the Philippines. God said, look, okay, I'm gonna mess it all up. That's what God really said, people. He said, I'm gonna slow them down to a snail's pace. Isn't that a sense of humor? Let me just change that language. Let me throw something funny in there at them. That seems like a sense of humor to me. God said, let's change their language. That's the first demonstration that God has a sense of humor. And remember, sense of humor isn't always funny to the person who's being affected. For instance, we all love to laugh at comedians. But when the comedian picked out one person out the audience to make jokes at, that person's not laughing at anymore. Like the people, they got their language all screwed up, they was not laughing. They wasn't laughing anymore. But it was demonstrating God's sense of humor. But the joke was on humanity. The joke was on humanity to slow them down to a crawl. This coming from Genesis chapter 18, verses 9 to 15. And they said unto him, Where is Sarah, your wife? And he said, Behold, she is in that tent. I don't know what she's doing. She's in the tent. Let's see what Sarah's doing. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. Okay, I guess he said the season. That would probably mean by the time of life. Fall, winter. It's winter time now. I'm coming back when it's spring. I'm coming back next winter time. A year later. Yeah, that's what he said. A year later, time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. Oh my God. He said a son. He didn't even say a daughter. He didn't say maybe she's going to have a daughter and maybe she's going to have a son. No, he was straight on like an arrow. She's going to have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door which is behind him. So now we know what Sarah doing. Abraham said she's in the other tent. But she was in the other tent eavesdropping. I guess like a spouse do. When the guests come in, they want to hear what the guests and the entertainer talking about. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and were stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Now here we go. We have to think of people. If you read the Bible like I did, and antiquities, human beings seem to have aged real slowly. In the beginning, when Adam was born, I believe Adam lived to be 930 years. After that, it started to get less and less. So, Abraham and Sarah, they could have been 100 years old, and at that time, 100 years old was considered advanced. Today, it probably would have been, we would equate with it being a 60-year-old, because I don't think most 60-year-olds can bear children. Definitely when you're 70, you're done. So Abraham and Sarah, because remember, at that time, they were still strong. Abraham was still having wars, so he was no feeble old man, nor was Sarah. Therefore Sarah laughed with herself, saying, After I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure? My Lord also being old. So she said, I'm old, Abraham old. God, you telling a joke on us. Don't come here with your sense of humor, teasing us. That's what a sense of humor does. You're teasing us. You're making a joke. That's the sense of humor. That's what Sarah was thinking. And the Lord said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh? He said, So why she's laughing, saying, Shall I of a security bear a child, which am old? Now God said, Why is she laughing? I'm God. I can do anything I want to. And here we go. Here's verse 14. That's a big verse. Is anything too hard for the Lord? So is anything? At the time appointed, I will return unto thee according to the time of life. So I'm going to return 1 year from now. And Sarah shall have a son, not a daughter. There's not no doubt. He said 100% she's going to have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laugh not, but she was afraid. And he said, No, but thou did laugh. If you want to read more about what happened, go read Genesis chapter 18. But the point is here, in Sarah's mind, God had a sense of humor. He was telling them a joke. God joked in Sarah's mind was that I'm going to have a baby and I'm well past the age of bearing children. That's the second incident of God's sense of humor. In this case, in the eyes of a human being. Now God, he didn't get upset when she laughed. He just said, Sarah, why you laugh? And she didn't want to tell him why. He just said, why you laugh? He said, I'm glad I made you happy. I'm glad I brought laughter to your, because your day could have been gloomy up until now. I'm glad to bring you laughter and joy. Once more, we're still in Genesis chapter 18, verses 17 to 26. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that which I am going to do? So God said, I got a plan. Do you think I should? And he was talking to his other Lord. Should I tell him what we're going to plan? I don't know. Let's talk about this. And the Lord said, because of the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous. When I read the Bible, and I hope you read the Bible too, when a nation keeps sinning and sinning and sinning, it reaches up until heaven like an aroma. Like when Cain killed Abel. The sin reached God. In this case, the blood cried out to God. That's how sin is. It reached the scent, the aroma, the fragrance, the stench of it. Eventually, we sneak its way into heaven when it's very strong. Just like a fire. When a fire is very powerful, the smoke may extend for miles up into the air. When I light a little matchstick, the smoke is almost invisible, but it's there. I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which has come unto me. And if not, I will know. And he said it was a cry going up to heaven, not a scent, not an aroma like I said. No, the very earth was crying. If you read the Bible, God said the earth. He told people to talk to the earth. So the earth may be alive in God's eye, which it is. He said it's a cry of their sin. The earth is crying. And the men turned their faces from thence and went towards Sodom. But Abram stood yet before the Lord. And Abram drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? He said, are you going to kill the good people there too with the evil people? Why are you going to do that, Lord? Is that a fair thing to do? Or not a sin fair? Is that just to kill the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, as I stated earlier, and that the righteous should be as the wicked, and that be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? See, that's important. Abraham said, not the God of the Canaanites, the Jebusites, the Hittites, the Girgites. He said the God of all the earth, the God above any God, judge rightly. And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom and 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. Now here's God's sense of humor, people. He kept entertaining Abraham. Now I can't put the whole story here because I only have the little screen to work with. Abraham got to God so much he got it down to 50. Doesn't that mean God got a sense of humor, a sense of compassion? Yeah, because the person who like to tell jokes, they do have some compassion, some sympathy on people. They don't go insulting your woman if she's 500 pounds. They don't insult you if a person is blind or deaf. Just like God. He had compassion on Abraham. But his sense of humor was he entertained Abraham's request. Like I go again with the comedians, since I live in the Western world. When a comedian is standing up, he or she does talk to the crowd. Like God was talking to Abraham. If you get on their good side, they may even give you a favor, like come down and give you a hug or kiss, like God was doing with Abraham. The actual comedian will humor the audience, and God humored Abraham by letting him take that 50 down to 10. But God said, okay, that's enough. I'm not going no lower than 10. Let's go. Let's get it done. Yeah, he's not going no lower than 10. This is coming from 1 Kings, chapter 18, verse 27. At noon, Elijah began to taunt them. Oh, who is Elijah taunting? See, that's a sense of humor. Even the prophets in the Bible got a sense of humor. He said, quote, shout louder, he said. Surely he is a God. Perhaps he's in deep thought, or busy, or traveling. Maybe he is sleeping and must be wicked. A little backdrop on this story is Elijah was challenging the prophets of Baal. He made a contest to say, who's God? If this happened, your entity is God. If you don't do it and the Hebrew God do something, then he is God and serve him. So those men those men and women was jumping around and screaming all day for Baal to do such and such, and nothing happened. So that's why Elijah had a sense of humor. He said, shout louder. He's sleeping. He's in deep thought. Even the prophets, God's servants, had a sense of humor. And that's bold, plain, straight up. I don't got to really elaborate. You see it for yourself clear as day. This is coming from Psalm chapter 2, verse 4 and 5, I think. The one enthroned in heaven laughs. Uh-oh. The Lord scoffs at them. The main thing is, God can laugh. A person who has a sense of humor can laugh. People who don't have a sense of humor don't like laughing. Just by laughing, that means you got a funny bone in you. God has a funny bone. God has a sense of humor because he's laughing at the human beings who don't believe in him. So remember, if you're a child of God, don't get upset if your husband, your kids don't want to accept God. Now, you still got, now I love them, so I want them to do it. But God doesn't get a heart attack if people don't believe in him or not. What does he got to prove? They have to prove something to him. All right, this comes from Exodus chapter 4, verses 10 to 17. Moses said to the Lord, pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue. Oh my God. See, now, Charlton Heston, the guy who played Moses in the 1960s, he was an eloquent speaker. He was well versed when he talked. He and Moses said, I'm not an eloquent speaker. I'm not a presidential candidate. I'm a humble man. And God did say Moses is the most humblest man on the planet. He said, I never spoke well in the past, and since you started talking to me, I haven't changed. I'm still a slow speaker. Then the Lord said to him, who gave human beings their mouth? Uh-oh, he's going back to what he said to Sarah. Is anything too hard for God? Who makes them deaf or mute? Okay, so if he's deaf or mute, well, God did it. Who gives them sight or makes them blind? If you're blind, God did it. We got to accept it. God made people blind. He made them deaf. Is it not I, the Lord? Or he know about it. Now go. I will help you speak and will teach you what to say. See, look at that sense of humor right there. Look at that sense of humor. God said, Moses did all that complaining. God said, I'm going to be with you, man. I'm going to talk with you. But Moses said, pardon yourself, Lord. Please send someone else. Moses did not want to do it. He was scared. He said he was not elegant. Then the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he says, no, God. See, look at that. God gets angry, too. He gets angry. He got a sense of humor, but he still gets angry. Then he said, okay, what about your brother Aaron the Levite? I said, there you go, sense of humor. He said, okay, if you can't do it, let's get Aaron involved. That's God's sense of humor. You can't do it, Moses. Let me get Aaron. God said, I know he can speak well. He is already on his way to meet you, and he will be glad to see you. So God called, while God was talking to Moses, he was calling Aaron. You shall speak to him and put words in his mouth. He said, okay, I'm going to tell you, and you're going to tell Aaron, and then he's going to relay that message to the people. I will help both of you. Oh my God, look at that sense of humor. He said, I will help both of you speak and will teach you what to do. Look at that. Look at that. See, like I said, the Bible make me laugh. It's making me laugh right now. He said, I will help you both. He didn't say, I'm just going to help you Moses. No, I'm going to help you both and will teach you what to do. See, that makes me laugh right there. He will speak to the people for you, like I said. And it will be as if he were your mouth and as if you were God to him. Oh my God. He said, you're going to be God to Aaron. But take this staff in your hand so you can perform the signs with it. See, look at that. Look at God's sense of humor. Moses kept complaining and crying, say, I can't do it. He said, okay, man, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to send you your brother. He gonna speak for you. Look at that. Like I said, you have to read between the lines and know the Bible for many years. to see God's sense of humor in dealing with human beings. He ain't kill Moses on the spot like the so-called Greek gods, the so-called Norse gods would do. Kill a human being on the spot. But that's talking about this God in the Bible. He's patient with people. Even though he's higher than us, he will come and speak with us and entertain our complaints like he did with Moses. This is Numbers chapter 12. Verses, I guess it's 1, which is the 12. Miriam and Aaron began to talk against Moses because of his Cushite wife. Okay, his Cushite wife. From what I learned about that, she was dark-skinned. She had melanin in her. For he might a Cushite, but it didn't say blacks, good people. See, back in that day, they didn't care what color you were. What they worried about what tribe are you from. Like they said, Cushite. They ain't telling about her skin color. They said, we don't like the Cushites. We don't want to deal with no Cushites. I don't care if she looked like us or not. We don't want to deal with her because she's a Cushite. Quote, has the Lord spoken only through Moses? See, he made an error right there. Because the Lord, when we just started to discover from the last slide, the God did speak to Moses. Then he talked to Moses, told Aaron. They asked him, hasn't he also spoken through us? Now that's true. He spoke through them and the Lord heard this. So they pissing God off. Now this is what God said. When there is a prophet among you, God talking, the Lord revealed myself to them in visions, like he did with Samuel. I speak to them in dreams, like he did to Joseph. But this is not true of my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. With him I speak face to face, clearly, and not in riddles, like he did with Joseph. He sees the form of God, which he did. He saw the backside of God. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? That they should be. Because if God did it with one human being, everybody else should be terrified. They was terrified when Moses came off that mountain and his face shone with the glory of heaven. They were scared then, all of them. The anger of the Lord burned against them and he left. So God got against him and he just disappeared. Or went up in the cloud or whatever. Now here we go to the part right here. They're going to rock a lot of people's world. When the cloud lifted from above the tent, Miriam's skin was leprous. It became as white as snow. Now, I ain't going to get too deep into this, but it said it became as white as snow. What color was she before that? I ain't going to get into it, because some people have been deceived by Satan. Aaron turned toward her and saw that she had a defiling skin disease, that she turned white. And he said to Moses, please, my Lord, I ask you not to hold us the sin we have foolishly committed. So he admit that we sin. Do not let her be like a stillborn infant come up from his mother's womb with his flesh half eaten. And I've contacted some people in my family, because I don't have any kids, but they said when a baby come out, no matter how their skin tone, African American, whatever, which I am, African American, the baby first come out looking pale like a ghost. It look like it's half dead. And then later on, the melanin kick in, then it start turning darker. But when it first come out, it's pale and wrinkled looking, like Aaron is stating here. But here's God's sense of humor. He said, you want to complain against Moses' wife? I got something for you then. I'm going to give you leprosy and turn you white as snow. Now, like I said earlier, the people who pointed out, or who the comedian talked to, the joke, they don't see the joke on it. But the other people standing aside, they laugh at the joke. Aaron, Moses, and Miriam, they were not laughing then when she got turned white. But it still demonstrates God's sense of humor. Even though he punished her, he think creatively. And a comedian, as you know in this day and age, they can think very creatively. And God was thinking creatively here. I said, if you was Miriam, it would not have been funny to you. If you was Moses, it was not funny. And definitely to Aaron, seeing his sister turn white and pale was not funny to him. But the point is, it shows you God has a sense of humor. He said, now, here's the sense of humor. He said, because the Hebrews had a certain skin tone. Here's something I'm going to bust Eddie up. I'm going to bust some bubbles again. I'm going to bust somebody false belief. I read the Bible. I said, for many, since I was 13, for decades. You check it out. Prove me. Remember what Jesus said. You cannot turn your hair white or black. All, I better say 99%, the vast majority of Hebrews had black hair. Remember what he said? You cannot turn your hair black or white. And the laws of Moses, God kept saying, if the hair turned white and it's no longer black, they got leprosy. Prove me wrong. So the Hebrews did not have no brown hair. They did not have no blonde hair. They did not have, maybe some probably had red hair, because in dark-skinned people we do have red, but the majority did not have no red hair. They did not have auburn colored hair. No, they didn't. The Bible said Hebrews have black hair. Prove me wrong. That's what Jesus said. That's what God said to the Hebrews. If the hair, the black hair, turn white, you got leprosy. And white is basically saying if it turned blonde. If you want to use today's vernacular. This is coming from Amos chapter 5 verse 19. One of the scriptures that first started making me laugh. It would be as though a man fled from a lion. You running from a lion, only to turn a corner and you meet a bear. As though he entered his house. Now he got up from the bed. He entered his house now. He entered his house and rested his hand on the wall, breathing a sigh of relief. Only to have a snake bite him. Look at that. That's straight up sense of humor. God is talking about his sense of humor. He said, you run from the lion. You got away from the lion. Okay, you met a bear. You run from the bear, got into your house safely, put your hand on the wall. Then a snake turn around and jump up and bite you on the hand. Straight sense of humor. Straight up. That's coming from God. God has a sense of humor. This is coming from Numbers chapter 11 verse 18. I guess I say to 20. Tell the people, consecrate yourselves in preparation for tomorrow, when you will eat meat. Okay, so he said the next day you all got tired of eating this manna. I'm going to give you meat to eat. The Lord heard you when you wailed. The Hebrews was whining, crying. We're getting tired of eating this meat. If we only had meat to eat. See? And then he said this. Then they said this. We were better off in Egypt. At least in Egypt we had meat to eat. All we eat now is this bread. Now the Lord will give you meat, and you will eat it. You will eat it for just. You will not eat it for just 1 day or 2 days or 5 or 10 or 20. That's a sense of humor. There you go. Let me do it again. A sense of humor. This sense of humor is coming from Moses. You will not eat it for just 1 day. No, you're not going to eat it 1 day. Or 2, big deal. Or 5, no. Or 10 or 20. No, you're going to eat the thing. But for a whole month, you will eat. You will whole month until it come out of your nostrils and you hate it. See, there we go with the sense of humor. There we go. Is it? And you know I'm telling the truth, my good friend. We as humans, we get tired of eating something day after day after day after day. Yes, I have foods that I like, but if I eat it day after day after day, you know we get tired of it. But for a whole month until it comes out of your nostrils and you hate it, because you have rejected the Lord who was among you, and have wailed before him, saying, why did we ever leave Egypt? They said, okay, they keep ranting about Egypt. They want meat. I'm going to give them that meat for 1 whole month. And it's going to be the same meat. I'm not going to make it taste any different. Tell me. That's a sense of humor that the people in church don't talk about. Now, before I keep going on, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you have any comments to add about God's sense of humor, leave a comment. If you would like to subscribe and hear me further talk about things in the Bible that the Holy Spirit said on me, please subscribe. Now let's move forward. This coming from John chapter 2. Now we're getting into the Old Testament. Goodbye. Now we're getting into the New Testament. Goodbye, Old Testament, at least for now. On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. There we go. We don't talk about that. Jesus and his disciples were loved. More than likely, they knew the people, but we never hear about that. How Jesus probably knew the people. He probably grew up knowing his disciples and the people. He grew up in Galilee. To the person, he was invited to the wedding. You don't invite people you don't know to your wedding, do you? When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, they had no more wine. She said, son, all the wine gone. Then Jesus said, woman, why do you involve me? Jesus replied, my hour has not yet come. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to them, the servants, fill the jars with water, so they filled them with the brim. Here we go. His sense of humor. How is that a sense of humor, you may ask? He had a sense of humor because he loved his mother. He was not so serious, because you remember he said his hour has not yet come. He wanted to stay hidden. But his sense of humor, he loved his mother so much, he did what she asked him to do and changed the water to wine. He did not complain. He entertained her. And a comedian, like I said, they entertain. And when you got a sense of humor, you will entertain people, right or wrong. Jesus had a sense of humor because he entertained his mother and he listened to her. He did not complain or wail. Well, he did complain a little bit. He said, my hour has not yet come. So he did give a little voice opinion. But after he loved her so much, he just did what she wanted. But if he was a serious person, if he stuck by the law, like some people try to make you do, if he had stuck by the law, had no sense of humor, he would not have done anything. This is coming from Matthew chapter 18, verses 1 to 6. And I think it's still talking about Jesus' sense of humor, which Jesus' sense of humor was the church and religious leader never talk about. Hollywood like to show Jesus in their movies always looking stern and serious and boring. He was not a boring person. If you got 12 friends, remember in life we only have 1 or 2 good friends. He had 12 of them, even though he was betrayed by Judas. He was with Jesus for about 3 years. He didn't betray Jesus 1 month later. It took a number of years. So he did love Jesus. Judas loved Jesus. And he had crowds following him. So he knew how to speak. He had a sense of humor. And he knew how to entertain people. Here we go. At the same time came the disciples unto him, Jesus, saying, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus called a little child unto him and set him in the midst of him. So he brought somebody from the crowd, basically. He got a little child from the crowd, and he was not going to embarrass that child. He got a child from the crowd and said, come over here, young boy or young girl, and said, verily I say unto you, except you be converted and become as a little children, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, how is a child like? They trusting. They believe their parents, and they are full of joy, laughter, and happiness. A child has a sense of humor, don't they? Children always like to play jokes and tease one another, whether they tease each other in a good way or bad way, but they like to tease each other. They like to joke with each other. They like to play with each other. So Jesus said we have to have the good aspects of a child. Love being around other children. Love talking to other children. And love joking with other children. That's how a child acts. Whoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same as the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And a child will humble themselves under loving adult supervision. They will quickly. When they know adult is on their side, they will surrender and believe in whatever the adult tell them. And whoever shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me. You receive a child, you receive a person who's full of joy in their heart, a child whose love has joy in their heart. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, that he would drown in the depth of the sea. So he was hardcore. And the church don't talk about that. Jesus is hardcore and violent with people who insult, who hurt his children. He will eventually take care of them. Eventually. This is coming from Luke chapter 11. Then Jesus said to them, suppose you have a friend, and you go to him at midnight and say, friend, lend me 3 loaves of bread. A friend of mine on a journey has come to me, and I have no food to offer him. And suppose the one who inside answer him, here's a sense of humor, don't bother me. The door is already locked, and my children and I are in bed. I can't get up and give you anything. So Jesus was an excellent storyteller. A comedian can tell stories at the drop of a hat. Jesus had comedian qualities. He could make stories. A parable, that's all it means, is story. Comedians in his day and age tell stories, and Jesus had the ability to tell stories with a sense of humor. I tell you, even though he will not get up and give you the bread because of friendship, yet because of your shameless audacity, he will surely get up and give you as much as you need, because you came bang at the door 1 o'clock in the morning, looking at our service. He said, let me give him the food and get him out the way. So I ask to you, ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and to one who knocks, the door will be open. So he's telling you what we got to do to get things from God. We have to be persistent. Like the friend who came to the door, he was persistent. But regardless, it shows you Jesus' sense of humor. The people don't got to be laughing. When you got a good sense of humor, everybody don't always have to be laughing. They just know that you got joy inside your heart and spirit. This is still coming from Luke chapter 11, verse 11 to 12, I believe. Which of your fathers, if your son asks for a fish, will give him a snake? Okay, here's a sense of humor again. Your son said, Daddy, I'm hungry. Are you going to give him a snake or a scorpion instead? Or if he asks for an egg, will you give him a scorpion? Like I just now said. There's sense of humor. If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give the Holy Spirit to those who ask him? Not who wish, who ask him. But there's a sense of humor. Will you give your son a snake? Will you give your son or daughter a scorpion? But he never said that. He got a sense of humor. This coming from Paul. Not just Jesus anymore. The Apostle Paul. 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1. I hope you will put up with me in a little foolishness. Paul got a sense of humor too. Yes, please put up with me. Be foolish when I come. Be silly. Be cheerful. That's it, my good people. Thank you for stopping by, listening, seeing what God has put in my heart. Heavenly Father, as always, I thank you for your love and kindness that you have shown me. Thank you for blessing the listeners, for taking the time by to come and learn more about your nature. Many of the people, many of the religious leaders of this planet do not never devolve about what God is like. Now, we cannot see you completely, because you said to Paul, we only can see you through like a foggy glass. That's all I can see you. When I'm in heaven, when I'm resurrected, I see you face to face in your entirety. My body won't melt and disintegrate, because I will be, or we will be, an immortal. Thank you for the lesson. Help us to learn and appreciate your nature, so when we see you face to face, we will have an idea of what you are like. Thank you for always. Thank you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. If you enjoyed this lesson about God and Jesus and Moses and Paul, sense of humor, give me a thumbs up. If you got any comments that you would like to add about how God seemed to be funny to you with biblical verses, remember I didn't cover every last verse. I just give you some of them. Drop some verses in the comment section. If you'd like to subscribe to hear whatever God put on my heart to discuss and talk about, be my guest and subscribe. Until the next time, peace.